There are a lot of rumors that you will hear about Tesla, including from Tesla employees, but I have to tell you, the least reliable source of information you can find is at the sales and service centers, where the employees generally don't get much more information than we have, and they have wild speculation. Don't necessarily listen to them. It's crazy. Let's go through some of those rumors and present them as facts. We'll present them as rumors because they are. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. I am back with Jan for what is our final session in the studio of the year, probably, almost certainly. Maybe ever. Ooh, who knows? He'll be back on the channel, but I won't be in the studio. He'll be back on the channel in like 2 weeks in Michigan for the Muskegon event. Join us June 15th. Rumors. You know, I told you early on my philosophy is I don't report them unless I've got 2 sources. And even then I'm careful because I have to know the sources.
Sure.
I have to know that they're real people.
Absolutely,
It makes sense. And I've heard some doozies, and you've shared some doozies, and we realized we should share these doozies because you've never heard how genuinely dumb some could be. Now, I know that when Model 3 Highland was imminent, there were some YouTubers who would call up service centers and say, hey, when are you getting the Highland? And they told me, that's not a thing. Okay, so it turned out it was a thing, and it was coming imminently.
Yeah, it was a huge thing, especially when a blanket was uncovered or a cover on the Tesla site that looked familiar with the one that I bought. So it was 100% the same car in black. Yeah,
the real thing. Yeah. And I'd seen parts for it at that point, and but it didn't stop people from saying, nope, it's not real. I heard from someone I respect more than you, why, that it's not real, and I choose to die on this very small hill, the smallest hill possible. So why don't you share your first humdinger?
So, this is something that is pretty interesting. Because we've seen, I'm going to start with the Model 3 performance that's going to come out. Because I had a source telling me, I'm not disclosing who or when and where.
But it was a low-level frontline employee of whom there are 10,000, 20,000.
Yeah.
It was one of them.
Yeah. So I'm going to share this here. And that was interesting because it was the fact that the performance of the Model 3 performance that's sold in Europe differs and is less than the one that is sold in the US.
So performance is different how? Are we talking the range? Are we talking the acceleration?
We're talking of the acceleration, and the specs are a little bit different on the whole.
Worth noting real quick that in the US they do 0 to 60, and in Europe they do 0 to 100 kilometers.
Sure.
So that's 62. So right there you've got a difference, but okay, go ahead. Let's say we're using the correct matching metrics.
Yeah.
They're different. And why did you
So first of all, 2.9 seconds from 0 to 60 and 3.1 or 2 seconds, I'm not sure 100%.
0 to 62.
No, sorry. Yeah, 0 to 62 in...
Right.
Yeah.
So somehow...
Yeah, in 3.2 seconds, around that ballpark.
So we found half of the mystery is solved, but pretend it's not. Surely you asked them. What did they tell you?
Yeah, what's up with that? And then he said the cathode...
The cathode of the battery?
Of the battery in the US has different regulations there than the cathode in Europe. So the performance actually is software locked.
So performance is software locked in Germany because of regulations on the cathode.
Yeah, that how much power can go through the cathode, kind of, or that the cathode. So I read a little bit in between the lines. It was a little bit difficult because he didn't want to share anything, and so he shared half-baked stuff. But that's what he kind of said. He said that maybe that even, he indicated that it was software locked, and I followed through, and he was like, can't talk about this kind of deal. So, okay.
You shouldn't because that is regulations on cathodes. The voltage that can legally pass through a so you heard it here first. And hopefully you don't hear that one again.
Maybe you can get into that. Why? Or should we go into that?
Oh, no, we don't have time. We've got too many of these amazing new facts to hear. This
sure.
is my favorite one. I was at a place that has a Cybertruck on display, and the gentleman told me, or lady, it's a guy who told me, who was an employee and who seemed very authoritative, that did you know the alloy of the Cybertruck steel panels is different in each section? Well, they've got different needs. So what? Why? You're telling me they've got 3-4 different rolls of alloys, and that they're still going to match on the first day, let alone ever again?
No.
No, why would they? Well, because the front needs to crumple different, the sides need to be more rigid. That doesn't make sense. You'd make them thinner. Different alloys for each one. That's...
No, but what we can follow through with in that theory is just to get the Cybertruck, for example, to Europe. Mm-hmm. There is a regulation, presumably about the thickness of the steel, which is 1.3. The Cybertruck is 1.9 right now. So, yeah.
That one I would believe. That one has a basis in reality. That one is buried somewhere in the regulations of the EU code, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That doesn't...
So I didn't fact check this, but this was something that I've heard that I need to check. But this is more believable in that sense because it's about the alloy. And not that in the US it would make absolutely no sense. We would have to kind of rearrange the Cybertruck for the European market. And it's not just about the steel. But yeah, that was something that I wanted to add here as, because he said something about like different steel thicknesses. Crazy. Yeah,
Crazy.
But it is absolutely hilarious.
I'll let you take the next one then.
So that was already one.
That was one?
Yeah, that was kind of one because...
Let me do one because I've still got another Cybertruck.
Yeah, sure.
So on the Cybertruck. So this one, I believed when I heard it. I heard that the reason FSD isn't out on the Cybertruck is because of the rear steering. And it doesn't know where its body is in space. And because the back moves differently than it would on another car. But the more I thought about it, the less it made sense. Because I thought, well, if you're pulling out of a parking spot and you crank the wheel too far, you're going to go up on the curb. But then I remembered the video where in testing, they couldn't get the back wheels to turn on the lift unless they got rolling first. So if you're at a dead still and you turn it, the back wheels aren't going to turn. And also, it doesn't, a low-speed turn, it can ballpark it and do just fine. A high-speed turn, it still drifts like anything else. I don't know if that is true. I would love to hear thoughts on that in the comments. It could be true. I don't know.
We have another one, and that was the leak that we just the Tesla driving around with the different camera placements.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You heard a service center or sales. You heard a Tesla low-level employee share the reality on that.
Yeah, he kind of, so now I don't know if that's ridiculous. It was my opinion. He kind of like maybe he was just playing it up or she was playing it up. I don't know, but I just said that the placement is interesting. It looks like it is on the same height of the small bevel that we saw in the actual prototypes that Tesla shared in the mock-ups of the robotaxi, and that would make sense to me. And he was also like, or she was grinning a little bit, indicating, that might be true. But still, we don't know if that's facts. I wouldn't say that this would be like too ridiculous because I also follow this theory. But hey, that's just speculation so far. But the shape looked like that it was at the right place.
It could be right. The problem is they would never tell Carl from the Zen Garden locate. I don't know what.
Yeah, sure, but
this person, even if you worked in the design center, you might not know that answer. So another one I heard, and this one I will out the source because it's a public source. On the Fremont tour, they told us that What's the capacity of Fremont? What's the production capacity?
I'm not sure about that actually.
So their record is like 400,000.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that number rings a bell from Fremont. I thought of 300,000 or
Yeah,
something.
300, 400,000.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Something like that. He said this factory has a capacity of 3,000 cars a day. And I go, that's over 1 million. That's like 1.1 million. Does it? Are you talking about burst rate? Like if you had an all hands on deck 24-hour build-a-thon where quality control is kind of entirely discounted, maybe I could believe a burst rate of 3,000. Maybe. But that factory does not have a capacity of 1.1 million. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see them get to 600,000. I would be pleased. But 1 million plus? No.
So I also heard another one.
Yeah.
The new Giga press by Idra will be placed in Fremont.
Okay. So did they say for what?
No, but I think he or she was speculating a little bit about
Compact?
Yeah.
Okay. So they did build a space for a new Idra press, a new Giga press, we assume Idra. All the Giga presses that we know of have come from Idra in Italy, the big company there. Out next to the big Giga press building in Fremont, which is an outside building, that's weird, they put in a foundation right next to it of about comparable size, comparable depth. It's a good 15 feet, 4 meters deep-ish, 4 or 5 meters deep, very deep very deep footings, and it's rock solid. And then they paved over it with asphalt and put down stripes for a parking lot. And that tells me that a plan changed or maybe something was delayed. So it could be that press is going out there, but it wouldn't be for compact. They're not building compact in Fremont at scale that we have any reason to believe. It could happen, of course. We have no reason to believe that. What's more likely is that they would be putting front castings on the 3 just castings on the 3 really at all. So that's a good one. That's a good one because it's got a nugget of truth. Mm-hmm. It's not a whole truth.
Yeah.
It's got a kernel, but it ain't a cob.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the ones that we always hear is rumors regarding when refreshes or colors or anything like that. We always hear all kinds of stuff. And
I know another one. FSD release in Europe end of this year.
They don't. There's no way they would know. There's no way the service centers or sales centers would know. I'd like to believe that's true, but so would they.
Yeah, but I don't know. I wouldn't think so. That would be very early for the regulation to step into having full force. Maybe some restricted beta tests. More test cars on the road, probably something like this. I could see, but no, I don't see that. And I have another one.
Oh, I'm ready.
You ready?
Barely.
Okay. Don't tell anyone.
No one watches.
Okay, good. So the presentation
on Ocho and Ocho
of the compact car.
Yeah.
The robotaxi, sorry.
Yeah.
Will be in Fremont. Probably.
It'll
Maybe.
It'll be in Fremont.
Probably.
So that...
Just it. Gonna show them there.
That's juicy.
Yeah, that's juicy. So this one wasn't presented as facts, but it was more speculative, kind of a little bit.
Does this employee think that Fremont is still the headquarters? Or does this employee think that they're going to be made there and not in the purpose-built extension to the building where they've told us that they're going to build them?
I don't know, but yeah. Together with the Giga Hydra press that's there, that's the thing. I think this combination makes not so much sense with when you would make a connection like this. But they have a test. What I would say is they have a test track at least there.
Yeah.
And they could do the presentation there because it's in California and that's the hub for autonomous vehicles like Cruise and Waymo. That's something that I would say, okay, that could be probable, but yeah.
I'm still, you know what, the autonomy angle makes sense. I'm still saying it's not going to be there. The test track doesn't help because it's not a race car.
Absolutely.
And even the Cybertruck, they didn't take you around the track, they took you around the roads.
Yeah.
And I think if they were going to do a demo of the cab, let's say they've got 10 or 20 of them, and they just say, hop in, it's going to take you to your destination. But your destination is within a maze in the parking lots, of which there are miles of roads. And that would be just as good. You don't need it. Here's a rumor I heard, but this wasn't about Tesla. This was about Volkswagen.
Oh, no.
And I think you know this. I think I shared this rumor with you.
Maybe.
Do you know why? So Herbert Diess was famously pro-EV. He had good plans. He was a rising star. And out of the blue, he was fired. And the rumor I heard was that...
No. He consults.
Well, he's got a very generous severance package.
Yeah, because he renewed his contract before he was fired. Or let's say...
But this is regarding his package.
Yeah.
What I heard was that he was brought in by the management of the Porsche family, and they said, Herbert Diess, things are not working out. And he said, Herbert Diess nuts. And that's about his package.
Did he say that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a true story. I am definitely sure. And that's not something I made up a couple days ago at a bar and decided I had to remember.
Yeah, it's pretty funny when you told
Herbert Diess nuts.
Herbert Diess nuts.
Because that's how they, because it translates, you know? It doesn't, I don't think auf Deutsch that would work quite as well, but the meeting was in English. It's true. These are true stories, I've decided.
Wie wär's, aber was ist mit diesen Nissen? It doesn't work. It just, do you think that the German expression works too?
So,
wie wär's mit diesen Nissen?
Wie gefällt's dieser Huevos? Okay, Eier, but okay, it doesn't quite work the same.
German, Spanish mix.
We can't find a way to make that one work. But I still think it's true. So you heard it here first. But that's fun.
It's fun.
I want to thank you for so generously giving me of your time and sharing your home and your car and all that. I had an absolutely wonderful week. Obviously we had a wonderful time in Austria.
It was cool,
but
yeah.
The whole trip has been really great. And I thank you for that.
Thank you very much, Brian. And another mystery was solved today because I've researched why Hershey's chocolate tastes like vomit. And like I said, Brian, it's absolutely true. It tastes like vomit because Hershey uses like
half-spoiled milk.
Half-spoiled milk.
On the drive today. And by the way, Jan was in... he was doing FBD supervised and he was getting like 3 interventions an hour on full Brian driving.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was like, oh, probably should slow down. Don't go around that guy. I'm like, hey, this is FBD. So
it was pretty good. I even could sit in the passenger seat.
He slept for 30 seconds and woke up in terror over nothing. I was going to play Dear Prudence on Spotify at full volume because it starts with a sound that sounds like screeching, but I decided against it, and a good thing because I wouldn't have had time before you automatically naturally woke up in fear and terror. It was, but drive.
I got a call. Let's just say
drive with another adult, and I'm going to tell you, you will have what we would call in self-driving interventions, where you'd be like, whoop, a little slower there, buddy. Whoa, can you merge a little hotter? It's not that the car doesn't drive right. It's that it doesn't drive like you. And some of us need to let that control go a little bit. What were you going to say, though?
Hershey's.
Yes, that's right. So during my time driving, he's like, hey, I have some important research to do. Why does Hershey's taste like vomit? Go ahead.
Yes, so Hershey's chocolate tastes like vomit because Hershey actually used soured milk or kind of half-spoiled milk because there's an
it preserves it somehow.
Yeah, it preserves it somehow because Hershey in the past chocolate needed to be, because we didn't have,
it needed to be refrigerated.
Yeah, it needed to be refrigerated, so it melted all the time. It was a seasonal thing, it was a luxury thing, and Hershey's wanted to like popularize it and spread it all around, so they needed to kind of preserve it without cooling, kind of, and that's why
shelf-stable
shelf-stable chocolate. And that's why they used like soured milk, and those enzyme also, or not enzyme, but
maybe.
No, I don't know.
Well,
but yeah, I'm not remembering what the thing is. Maybe you could, the process or whatever. Maybe you can write down in the comments how the thing that I was trying to say here would sound like or would be called. But yeah, they preserved it, and in Europe we did not do that because, I don't know, we had more localized production, or small shops had it. I don't know.
Or maybe you kept it seasonal until the technology got better.
Yeah, maybe.
But it creates this weird acid. I forget which one, but it's the same acid that you find in vomit. But what else?
I can't remember.
I don't remember, but some bitter things.
Yeah.
And then because Hershey's was so popular, Nestle and I don't know, whoever else was making mass-produced chocolate in the U.S. was like, well,
yeah, Nestle wasn't Nestle, but still, yeah. So
whoever it was,
said, all the other producers, because they were just different brands, and they also used for example, the sour milk supply that Hershey's used. They used it for their production of their candy, and so it kind of, this taste of vomit was in every any chocolate candy that you can think of. And until this day, this was the chocolate that Americans remember as real chocolate from the childhood.
And you have to follow the leader. If Hershey's the leader, you have to follow their formula. Otherwise, you're making something different. And because Nestle chocolate, like a Crunch bar in the U.S., doesn't taste much different than Hershey's. It is famously waxy, disappointing American chocolate. So, in the comments, let us know what's your favorite brand of chocolate that we might have heard of.
Or do you like European Swiss chocolate or whatever more than the American vomit chocolate?
So if you get a chance, if you've never tried European chocolate, most supermarkets will have Ritter Sport, which is a little square. That is their equivalent chocolate. It is like $1.20-ish for a bar here. And it is magical compared to most American chocolates, mass-produced ones anyway.
Yeah, check it out.
So what do we miss? What do we misunderstand? Leave it into them in comments below. Stay tuned and juicy. And I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots in Michigan, where Jan and I will be speaking, along with a host of amazing guests. See you there.
Bye, everybody.